Hello students, this is Venkateswarlu. In this session, we are discussing about uptake and transport of mineral nutrients in plants. If you like this video, please share, comment, like and subscribe to my channel. Plants obtain their carbon, hydrogen and oxygen from carbon dioxide and H2O. They obtain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen from CO2 and H2O. Remaining nutrients are obtained from minerals present in the soil. Most of the minerals present in soil, it can enter plants through root system. Plants grow and develop depend on mineral nutrients available in the soil. So in this session, we are discuss about uptake of mineral ions. All minerals cannot be passively absorbed by the roots. They cannot passively absorbed. It means without taking any energy. All minerals cannot enter into the plant system. That means roots. So there are two factors are affecting these. Those are, first one is minerals are present in the soil. They are charged particles. Minerals present in the soil, those are charged particles, so that they can't move freely across cell membranes. They can't move freely across cell membranes. So the elements, the minerals which are present in the soil, those are charged particles, so that it can't move freely across cell membranes. The concentration of minerals in the soil, concentration minerals in the soil is usually lower than the concentration of minerals in the root system. So in the second point, discussing about concentration of minerals. Concentration of minerals in the soil is usually lower. It contains lower potential. Soil contains lower mineral concentration, but in root it contains high potential. Root contains high mineral potential. Soil contains low mineral potentials. So in this second reason also, it need energy to move from soil to root system. So most minerals, they must enter the root by active absorption. Active absorption, because of minerals present in the soil, those are charged particles, and also soil contains less concentration of minerals. So it require active absorption. It means it require energy. So this needs energy in the form of ATP. It needs energy in the form of ATP. Ions are absorbed from the soil by active and passive transports. Some are moved in passive mode and some require active. So ions are absorbed from the soil by active and passive transport. Transport proteins of endodermis. So we already discussed about endoderm. It contains cells. The cells are embedded with suberin, that is Casparian strips. That Casparian strips are impervious to water molecules. Impervious to water molecules. But the endodermal cells which are opposite to xylem, those are not deposited by Casparian bands. Casparian bands. Those are involved in transportation of water molecules. Transportation of water molecules, those are called as passage cells. Called as passage cells. So the endodermal cells which are opposite to xylem, those are not deposited by Casparian thickenings. Those are called as passage cells. So water moves only through that passage cells. And the endodermis, transport proteins of endodermis cells are the control points. It controls the transportation of minerals. Where a plant adjusts quantity and types of solutes that reach the xylem. So plant adjusts the quantity and a type of solutes that reach the xylem. So endodermis is nothing but a control point because of Casparian thickenings. Translocation of mineral ions. So in this source and sink are there. Source is nothing but it is the part of the plant which synthesis the food. So photosynthesis, food preparing site is nothing but source. So source is nothing but leaves or green plant parts. Green plant parts. Leaves are all green plant parts. It performs photosynthesis. That area is called sources. So sources is nothing but part of the plant which synthesis the food materials. That is called source. And second one, sink. Sink is the part that needs or stores the food material. So where needs food materials or where the food is stored, that region is called sink in plants. So the chief sinks for the mineral elements are growing regions of the plant such as apical and lateral meristems, young leaves, developing flowers, fruits, seeds, and the storage organs. These are all nothing but sinks. So the chief sinks are, what are they? Growing regions of the plant like apical meristem, lateral meristem, young leaves, developing flowers, fruits, seeds, and storage organs. So these are all sinks. So in source, food material is prepared, and in sinks, they stored or utilizing area, region. So in phloem, movement is bidirectional. Food material. So phloem is nothing but food conducting tissue. It is a complex tissue. Food conducting tissue. So in that phloem, the movement of food materials or substances is bidirectional process. So the movement can be upward or it can be downward direction. The materials or substances, they can move upward direction or downward direction. That is a bidirectional process in phloem. So food in phloem sap can be transported in any required directions. Any required directions. So suppose food synthesis occur in green plant parts, that is nothing but leaves. So leaves are sources. So food transport from leaves to growing tips are storage organs. The storage organs may be root or fruit. So food materials transport or translocate from source, that is nothing but leaf to root or a leaf to fruit. After some time, a few days, that stored food materials are utilized by the plant for their daily activities. So then food materials transported from root to shoot tip are growing organs. So in phloem, food materials can be transported from leaf to storage organ, that means maybe root, and again root to utilizing organs. So in phloem, food material transportation is bidirectional. They can be upward movement or downward movement. But in xylem, the movement is unidirectional because xylem is nothing but water conducting tissue. It is nothing but water conducting tissue. Water moves only from root to shoot tip. Root to shoot tip. So only it can move only one direction, that is unidirectional upward movement. So from using phloem and xylem, food materials or minerals, water molecules, they can move. So this movement occur pressure. So this movement occur based on the pressure gradient. So the pressure flow hypothesis explained by Munch, a scientist, Munch explained pressure flow hypothesis. This is also called as mass flow hypothesis. Molecules moved from one point to another point by mass or bulkily. That is called mass flow hypothesis or pressure flow hypothesis. In this, he explained translocation of sugar molecules, translocation of sugars from source to sink, from source to sink. So this is the pictures belongs to phloem. So two pictures are there. So first one also elaborated phloem. So in this phloem, this is the section of stem, and this is the elaborated region of phloem from this picture, and it is also second picture of phloem. So phloem is nothing but it transports food materials usually from leaves to other plant parts. Phloem is in angiosperms is composed of sieve tube elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. So phloem contains in angiosperms, it is composed of sieve tube elements, companion cells and phloem parenchyma and also finally phloem fibers. But in gymnosperms, it have only albuminous cells and sieve cells. Gymnosperms have albuminous cells and sieve cells. It means they lack sieve tubes and also companion cells. So in gymnosperms, companion cells, sieve tubes are absent. And one another important point is there. Mature sieve element, it possesses a peripheral cytoplasm and a large vacuole, but there is no nucleus. Mature sieve elements lacks a nucleus, so there is no nucleus in mature sieve element. Unmatured sieve element, it contains a nucleus, but in mature sieve element it cannot possess or lacks of a nucleus, lacks a nucleus. How it functions? So function of sieve tubes are controlled by the nucleus of companion cells. Function of sieve tube controlled by nucleus of companion cells. Why? Because in sieve element, mature sieve element, it cannot contains a nucleus, so its function controlled by companion cells. Companion cells function help in maintaining the pressure gradient in sieve tubes. Pressure gradient in sieve tubes. So food materials enter into the companion cell and companion cell to sieve tube. So this is the pathway of food material. So food materials enter into companion cells to sieve tubes and then sieve plate and then sieve plate. So glucose prepared by photosynthesis and converted into sucrose. Glucose prepared by photosynthesis and it converted into sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. Then sucrose moves into the companion cells. Sucrose moves into companion cells and then into sieve tube cells by active transport. So here food materials enter into companion cells, then it moves sieve tube, then it moves sieve tube. So it means it require energy. So energy means active transport. It is active transport. So sucrose moves into the companion cells and then into sieve tube by active transport. Very very important. It is a active transport. This loading of phloem setups water potential gradient. So when food materials are entered into companion cells and sieve tubes, there water potential gradient is formed. Now sieve tube contains more food materials, it means less water potential, but in the neighboring cells, that is xylem tissue, it contains more water. In between the xylem and phloem, water potential gradient is formed. So gradient means difference in between xylem and phloem. Xylem contains more water potential, but in phloem it contains less water potential because of the presence of food materials. Then water moves from xylem to phloem because of the water potential gradient. So that facilitates mass movement in the phloem, mass movement, bulk movement in the phloem. Water moves from xylem to phloem by osmosis mode. So in osmosis, plasma membrane is involved. So this is the Munch mass flow hypothesis. Here he used tubes and beakers. So A, B, two beakers are there. These are connected with two tubes. One is act as a phloem and another one is act as xylem. So in B beaker, he used concentrated solution. This is the concentrated solution. It means less water potential, less water potential, less psi W. So this is the pure water. Pure water, it contains more water potential, that is positive. So water molecules always move from high water potential region to low water potential region. Then in B, pressure is formed. When water enter into the B, it forms pressure potential. So it B contains more pressure. Then materials moved from high pressure region to low pressure region through tube. So this tube act as phloem, So now food materials moved from high pressure region to low pressure region. So finally it reaches growing organs. So B act as source and A is nothing but it act as sink. So sink is nothing but storage organs or growing organ, whatever it may be. Food materials are reached based on the pressure gradient. So here water molecules removed that storage that food materials and they can move into xylem by active transport. This is the Munch hypothesis. So osmotic pressure formed in source. Source is nothing but leaves. Then phloem sap moves low pressure areas. So high pressure area to low pressure area. At sink source unloading is active transport. So here sucrose unloading point. This is the loading point. So both are active transporters. It moves from phloem to sap to growing organs. So unloading of sucrose is active transport. It moves from phloem sap to growing organs. So it can be explained by girdling experiment. So food materials are transported phloem, that is experimentally proved. That experiment is nothing but girdling experiment. Girdling experiment. So it is conducted to identify the tissues through which food is transported. So on the trunk, a ring of bark removed up to phloem. Bark removed up to phloem. After few weeks, the bark above the ring, it becomes swollen. It becomes swollen. So it proves food materials are transported from leaves to root side, that is downward direction. But here in the ring area there is no continuity of a phloem, then food materials are stored above the ring, then it shows swelling because of accumulation of food materials. So after a few weeks, the bark above the ring becomes swollen. So it proves phloem is the responsible for translocation of food materials. Phloem is nothing but it responsible food materials. This is girdling experiment. And this picture shows mechanism of translocation. It means about this topic. So in leaves are nothing but these are the sources. Food materials are prepared. So sugars enter into sieve tubes. Water follows by osmosis. So it contains now high turgor pressure. Then it moves. Food materials move from towards storage organs. It may be root or it may be shoot tip or leaves, whatever it may be. So sugars enter into sieve tubes, water follows by osmosis. And in roots, sugars leave sieve tube for metabolism and storage. Water follows by osmosis and it enter into xylem. It is a continuous process. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please share, comment, like and subscribe to my channel.